Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Life will teach you that your power does not come from how loud you speak, but from how calm you stay when the world tries to shake you. See, we live in a time where everybody's chasing something. Love, attention, approval, validation. But I learned something deep in my own journey. When you know your worth, you stop running after what's not meant for you. You stop begging people to see your value. You stop explaining yourself to commit it to misunderstanding you. Your silence starts speaking louder than any words could ever do. When you stop chasing, you allow what's meant for you to arrive naturally. So many people waste their strength running after things that were never meant for them. They chase relationships, opportunities, validation, and approval, believing that the harder they chase, the faster they'll find happiness. But chasing often leads to exhaustion, not fulfillment. When you're constantly running after something, you're sending a message to the universe that you don't already have enough, that you're incomplete, that you need something or someone else to make you whole. The truth is, real blessings don't need to be forced. They flow into your life when you're aligned with peace, confidence, and purpose. You attract what you're ready for, not what you chase out of fear or desperation. When you stop chasing, your energy shifts from desperation to attraction. You start moving with intention instead of anxiety. You begin to trust that what's made you will find you at the right time. This doesn't mean you stop working or caring. It means you stop forcing. There's a difference between effort and chasing. Effort is when you work towards your goals with discipline and faith. Chasing is when you run after things with fear that you'll lose them. Life rewards those who know the difference. If you spend all your time chasing, you'll miss the opportunities that come quietly. The ones that align perfectly win. You're patient and grounded. When you stand still in faith, people and opportunities start coming towards you. The right people recognize your energy. The right doors open because you're not pushing them. You're ready for them. You're calm, why you should never chase, or beg, centered and confident. And that draws in what truly belongs to you. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the things you desperately chased never worked out the way you wanted, but the moments when you let go, when you trusted, when you stopped obsessing, that's when the right things started to happen. That's because surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that your worth isn't defined by how hard you chase, but by how gracefully you wait. When you stop chasing people, you stop confusing attention for love. You stop mistaking being busy for being fulfilled. You start to focus on your own lane, your own growth, your own path. That's when you become magnetic. People can feel when you're grounded in peace and purpose. They sense when you're not desperate, and that energy is powerful. It pulls in the right kind of attention. You start to attract people who value you, not because you beg them to, but because they recognize your worth. The irony is the moment you stop chasing is often the moment they start noticing you. This lesson applies to every part of life. When you stop chasing money and start creating value, money follows. When you stop chasing love and start embodying love, it finds you. When you stop chasing approval and start believing in yourself, the world begins to see your confidence. Everything changes the moment you stop moving from fear and start moving from faith. You stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting that what's yours cannot miss you. You also gain peace when you stop chasing. Peace is something that can't coexist with desperation. Chasing drains your energy, your joy, your focus. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of not enough. But when you let go and focus on being your best self, you feel lighter. You stop worrying about timing, about what others think about how fast things happen. You start enjoying the process instead of fearing the delay. And that calmness, that patience becomes your power. So stop chasing what runs. Let what's meant for you find you. Trust that the right people, opportunities, and moments are already being prepared for you. All you have to do is be ready emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The universe responds to energy, not panic. When you stand still with confidence, everything meant for you starts moving toward you with divine timing. Never beg anyone to stay. Your value doesn't decrease because someone fails to see it. This truth is one of the hardest to accept, but one of the most freeing once you truly understand it. In life, people come and go. Some stay for a reason, others for a season, and a few for a lifetime. But no matter how much you love, care, or give, you can't force someone to see your worth. You can't make them treat you right, respect you, or stay loyal. And the moment you start begging for them to stay, you hand over your power. You give them permission to define your value. And that's a mistake you must never make. Your worth was not created by their opinion, and it will not be destroyed by their absence. Begging is born from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. But the truth is, being alone is not a punishment. It's an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. When someone walks away, it's not always a loss, sometimes protection. You may not see it at first, but God removes certain people because they're not part of the next chapter in your story. They may have been lessons, not lifelong partners. When you beg for them to stay, you're trying to hold on to what life is trying to release. And that keeps you stuck in pain, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. The moment you learn to let go, you make space for what's truly meant for you to come in. Think about it. When someone truly values you, they won't make you beg for their time, their love, or their respect. They'll give it freely because they see your worth without you having to prove it. Real love doesn't require begging. Real friendship doesn't require convincing. Real respect doesn't need chasing. When it's genuine, it flows naturally. So, when you find yourself silence as strength, not weakness begging, stop and remind yourself that you're asking for something that should already be given. You're not supposed to convince anyone to stay. If they can walk away from your presence, if they don't appreciate your effort, stop over-jiving. If they don't respect your energy, withdraw it. Because every time you beg someone to stay, you lower your own standards. The people meant for you will never leave you questioning your value. They'll recognize your worth even in your silence. You won't have to shout, chase, or beg. They'll meet you halfway because they want to, not because you ask. The right people are drawn to your strength, your authenticity, and your peace. The wrong ones are only attracted to your weakness, your giving nature, and what they can take from you. That's why it's dangerous to beg. You end up teaching people how they have to give to keep you. You show them that your love can be earned with crumbs, and they'll never serve you the full meal. Sometimes people will leave even after you've given them everything. Don't see that as rejection. See it as redirection. The pain of being left behind can feel unbearable, but it's often clearing space for something greater. That relationship, friendship, or job wasn't meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. It showed you what you won't tolerate anymore, what you truly need, and how strong you really are. Begging keeps you tied to what's beneath you, but letting go lifts you into the life you're meant to have. Understand this, your value doesn't change just because someone failed to notice it. A diamond doesn't stop being valuable because someone walked past it. It stays precious even if it's buried in the dirt. You are that diamond. You don't need everyone to recognize your shine. You just need the right person, the right place, the right opportunity to see it. Until then, keep shining. Anyway, the ones who can't see your worth simply aren't meant to. The moment you stop begging, you reclaim your dignity. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop walking in self-respect, and that confidence changes everything. People feel that energy. They begin to treat you differently because you've drawn a boundary. You've made it clear that your worth is not up for negotiation. And even if they don't return, you win because you've learned the most powerful truth of all. You don't need to beg for love, attention, or respect. You are enough just as you are. So when someone decides to leave, let them. When someone stops appreciating you, step back. Don't know yourself to keep people who were never meant to stay, because those who truly belong in your life will stay. Not because you beg them to, but because they know your value. Your strength lies in your silence, your composure, and your ability to walk away with grace. Never beg anyone to stay. If they're meant for you, they'll come back changed. If not, they'll make space for something better. Silence is not weakness. It's the language of strength and wisdom. Many people misunderstand silence. They think being quiet means surrendering, that not responding means losing. But silence is often the most powerful response you can give. It's the voice of someone who has mastered control over emotions. Someone who no longer needs to argue to prove their worth. When you choose silence instead of reacting, you are showing maturity, confidence, and peace within yourself. You are saying without words, I'm not going to let anything disturb my calm. That's power. Because strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the stillness, the restraint, and the ability to walk away without saying a word. When you react to everything, you give away your power. Every time someone tries to provoke you, they are testing your peace. The moment you snap, yell, or explain, they win because they've controlled your emotions. But silence keeps your control intact. It protects your energy. It shows you're not easily moved by negativity or drama. When people can't figure out how to trigger you, they start respecting you. They start seeing that your peace is something sacred, something they can't touch. Silence doesn't mean you're ignoring life. It means you're choosing to respond with patience, not impulse. That's real growth. When you learn to pause before reacting, to think before speaking, and to walk away before engaging in battles that don't deserve your presence. In this world of noise, silence becomes a rare strength. Everyone wants to speak, argue, explain, controlling your emotions and energy, and prove their side of the story. But those who are truly wise understand that time always reveals the truth. You don't need to fight for recognition or validation. The truth doesn't need defending. It stands on its own. And silence often says more than words ever could. It confuses your critics because they expect a reaction. When you give none, they're left powerless. They can't use your words against you. They can't feed off your energy, and they can't control your peace. Silence makes you unpredictable, and that unpredictability is intimidating to people who thrive on conflict. Silence is also a sign of confidence when you know who you are and what you stand for. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to shout to be heard or prove your point to be respected. You just live your truth quietly and let your actions speak. People who truly understand strength know that it's not always about being the loudest in the room. It's about having the calmest mind in chaos. Your silence says, I'm at peace with myself. I don't need your approval to feel valuable. That kind of confidence can't be faked. It's built from pain, growth, and self-awareness. Silence is also healing. When you stop talking about your pain all the time and start sitting with it, you begin to understand it. You learn to process it, not project it. Silence helps you reflect. It teaches you what to keep, what to release, and what to rise above. It clears your mind from noise and gives your heart space to breathe again. In silence, you hear your intuition louder. You recognize what truly matters and what doesn't. That's where wisdom grows. Not in constant chatter or argument, but in quiet reflection and understanding. People often think silence means weakness because they equate it with passivity. But silence isn't passive. It's selective. You're choosing when and where to invest your voice. Not every battle deserves your words. Not every person deserves a reaction. Some people just want to drag you down to their level, and silence denies them that power. It's a way of saying, I see what you're trying to do, but I won't play your game. That's strength, the kind that doesn't need applause or validation. When you respond with silence, you also build mystery. People start wondering what you're thinking, how you feel, or what your next move is. That mystery keeps your dignity intact. You don't get people the satisfaction of seeing you angry or broken. You maintain control over your narrative. The less they know, the more they respect. Silence gives you that quiet authority, the kind that doesn't shout but commands attention. There will be moments in life when the best thing you can do is stay quiet. When people gossip, when they lie about you, when they don't understand your path, stay silent and let your success speak later. Time exposes everything. Those who doubted you will eventually see. Those who left will regret it. Those who disrespected you will. Remember your silence, because it was louder than any words you could have said. Silence teaches you patience, endurance, and trust in divine timing. So when the world tries to drag you into chaos, don't fight noise with more noise. Step back, stay calm. Let your silence speak for you, because silence is not weakness. It's the quiet roar of strength, wisdom, and peace that cannot be shaken. Explaining yourself to people who don't care only drains your energy. Walk in quiet confidence. One of the greatest lessons you can ever learn is that not everyone deserves an explanation. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your pain, or your reasons. When you constantly explain yourself, you hand over pieces of your peace to people who will never truly understand you. You end up defending your choices to those who aren't even listening. They just want to judge, criticize, or control. And the more you explain, the more they take. You start doubting yourself, second-guessing your worth, and shrinking your light to make them comfortable. But you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you live, what you choose, or who you are becoming. When you walk in quiet confidence, you understand that your life is between you and God. Your purpose doesn't need public approval. The moment you realize this, you free yourself from the exhausting need to be understood by everyone. People who are committed to misunderstanding you will twist your words, no matter how clearly you explain them. So why waste your breath trying to convince them? The truth doesn't change because someone refuses to see it. You don't need to defend your integrity when your actions already speak for you. Some people will never see your side because they're blinded by their own insecurities. And that's not your burden to carry. When you constantly feel the need to explain yourself, it's usually because you're still seeking validation. You want people to agree with you, to say the value of self-worth and confidence. You made the right decision to comfort your fear of being wrong. But the problem is you can't build your peace on other people's opinions. Their approval doesn't guarantee your happiness. You have to reach a point where you trust your instincts, where you believe in your choices, even when no one else does. That's what quiet confidence looks like. The strength to stand tall in your truth without trying to make everyone else believe in it. People who walk in confidence don't argue about who they are. They simply live it. They let their results, their peace, and their growth do the talking. You don't need to announce every move, defend every decision, or prove your value. The world will see it through your consistency. The loudest people often have the least peace. The quiet ones, the ones who stay focused on their path and don't waste time explaining, they're the ones who end up going the farthest. Silence confuses those who expect a reaction, and confidence silences those who expect weakness. When you no longer feel the need to justify your choices, you become untouchable. It's important to remember that not everyone will understand your growth. Some people are used to the old version of you. When you change, they'll question it. They'll say you become distant, arrogant, or different. And you know what? They're right. You are different. You've grown. You've learned that peace is more valuable than proving a point. Explaining yourself to people stuck in old versions of you will only keep you from evolving. Let them think what they want. Growth often looks like distance to those who refuse to change. Keep walking. Keep trusting your journey. Every minute you spend explaining yourself to the wrong people is a minute stolen from your peace. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you stop talking and start living. You don't have to argue your worth. Your energy speaks louder than words. You don't have to prove you're kind, Lord, or capable. Time will show. You don't have to tell people what your intentions are. Your actions will reveal them. Quiet confidence is knowing that the truth doesn't need defending. It just needs time. And sometimes silence is the only explanation you need. When you stop explaining, people are left to figure it out on their own. That mystery gives you power. It teaches others not to take your comments for weakness, but for wisdom. Walking in quiet confidence means knowing when to speak and when to stay still. It's about trusting that what you're building doesn't require everyone's understanding. It just requires your faith. So stop exhausting yourself trying to make others see what you see. Stop watering yourself down for people who were never meant to understand your depth. Some people can only meet you at the level of their perception, and that's fine. Let them stay there. You keep rising. You keep glowing. You keep building. Don't explain your dreams or healing or your peace. Protect them, because when you walk in quiet confidence, you become unstoppable. Your silence speaks volumes. Your energy commands respect, and your peace becomes your loudest statement. Your peace is priceless, protected by not reacting to everything that tries to disturb it. In life, your peace is one of the most valuable things you can ever have. Yet it's the one thing people often give away too easily. Every argument, every drama, every little misunderstanding, these things steal pieces of your calm if you let them. You have to understand that not everything requires your reaction. The moment you start responding to every negativity around you, you give power to the chaos. Peace doesn't come from living in a world without problems. It comes from mastering the art of remaining calm in the middle of them. You have to become intentional about what you give your energy to, because not every battle is worth fighting, and not every noise deserves your attention. The truth is, peace doesn't happen by accident. It's something you must protect every day. You protect it by setting boundaries, by walking away from unnecessary arguments, by choosing silence over conflict, and by not letting other people's chaos become your own. Some people live off reactions. They want to see you angry, upset, or broken because it gives them control. But the moment you stop reacting, you take that control back. You start teaching people that your peace is not up for negotiation. You don't need to attend a fight you're invited to. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is smile, stay calm, and move on without saying a word. Peace is like oxygen. You don't realize how important it is until you lose it. When you're constantly surrounded by negativity, gossip, drama, or toxic energy, your mind gets clouded, your emotions get heavy, and your spirit feels drained. When to walk away without explanation. That's why it's so important to guard your peace fiercely. Protect your energy from people who bring nothing but confusion. Protect your mind from thoughts that make you doubt your worth. Protect your time from distractions that pull you away from your purpose. The more you protect your peace, the clearer your life becomes. You start seeing what truly matters and what doesn't deserve space in your heart anymore. When you stop reacting to every little thing, you start to understand what real strength looks like. It's not about shouting louder or proving your point. It's about staying composed when others lose control. It's about being calm in moments that used to break you. That calmness doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've grown. You've learned that reacting doesn't fix anything. It only adds more chaos to an already messy situation. Maturity is realizing that silence often solves what anger cannot. Sometimes you have to choose peace over pride, clarity over chaos, and distance over drama. Protecting your peace also means protecting your environment. The people you allow around you play a huge role in how peaceful your life feels. If you constantly surround yourself with people who gossip, complain, or carry bitterness, that energy becomes yours. You don't owe anyone access to your space if they bring negativity into it. Love some people from afar, wish them well, but keep your peace intact. You have every right to create a life that feels calm, steady, and fulfilling. A life where you wake up, not in anxiety, but in gratitude. Sometimes protecting your peace means walking away from people you once cared deeply about. And that's hard, but peace will always cost something. Comfort, familiarity, or connection. But it's worth every bit of it. Because once you taste peace, you'll never go back to chaos. You'll stop explaining your boundaries. Stop apologizing for your calm, and stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. Peace gives you clarity, strength, and freedom. It helps you make better decisions because your mind is not clouded by drama. It allows you to focus on your goals instead of wasting energy on distractions. Not reacting doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. It means you've learned to let life unfold without trying to control everything or everyone. You start realizing that sometimes silence is the loudest response. You don't always have to show people that you're right or that you've been hurt. The universe has a way of revealing truth and delivering justice. Your job is to stay peaceful, stay kind, and stay focused. The less you react, the more powerful you become. Peace is your foundation. When you protect it, everything else in your life falls into place. Your relationships, your success, your health, your happiness. A peaceful mind creates a powerful life. So stop letting temporary emotions create permanent damage. Don't let small things steal your joy. Don't let anyone pull you out of character. Protect your peace like it's the rarest treasure, because it is. When you choose not to react, you choose to rise. And in that calmness, you'll find strength that no storm can shake. When your silence becomes powerful, people start to listen, not because you shouted or because you mastered self-control. There's something magnetic about a person who can stay calm when others are losing control. Someone who doesn't speak every thought, but lets their actions do the talking. Silence has a way of commanding attention, not by force, but by presence. When you stop talking just to be heard, and start observing, people begin to notice your energy. They start realizing that your silence holds weight, that it speaks volumes without you saying a single word. It's not about arrogance or pride. It's about self-mastery. It's about knowing that you don't need noise to make an impact. True strength is not in how loud you can speak, but in how deeply your silence resonates. When you've reached that level of maturity where you don't rush to defend yourself, argue, or prove your point, you move differently. You start carrying yourself with quiet confidence, knowing that your true truth doesn't need anyone's validation. You know that time, consistency, and results will say everything that words can't. Silence becomes your strategy, your shield, and your power. The world listens more closely to those who don't waste words because they know that when you finally do speak, you mean it. When you master silence, you master emotion. You learn that not everything deserves your reaction and not every opinion deserves your response. The more you practice silence, the more self-control you build. You stop reacting out of anger, insecurity, or pride, and you start responding with wisdom, patience, and clarity. People who can't control their emotions lose control of their Steve Harvey's final words of wisdom lives. But those who control their silence control their peace, their direction, and their destiny. That's why your silence is powerful. It's not emptiness, it's discipline. It's the space between emotion and action, where wisdom is born. In a world full of constant noise, where everyone is talking, posting, and proving, silence becomes rare, and rare things hold value. When you're silent, you stand out. People become curious. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what gives you that calm. That curiosity turns into respect because silence creates mystery, and mystery commands attention. You no longer have to chase validation. It starts coming to you. People lean in when you finally decide to speak because they know you don't waste words. Every sentence carries weight. Every moment of silence builds anticipation. Silence also brings clarity. When you stop talking so much, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You start understanding what you feel, what you need, and where you're headed. Noise distracts, but silence directs. It gives you time to reflect, to heal, and to realign with your purpose. It's in silence that ideas are born, decisions are made, and wisdom grows. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and creators all understood the power of quiet, not because they had nothing to say, but because they knew the value of saying less and doing more. When your silence becomes powerful, you stop being predictable. People can't figure you out, and that's a good thing. You no longer hand over your emotions for others to play with. You don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you upset or desperate. You protect your energy by staying calm, collected, and composed. That silence makes people question themselves. They start wondering what you know, what you're planning, or how you remain so unbothered. That's influence, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be felt. Your silence also teaches others how to treat you. When you stop reacting to disrespect, manipulation, or negativity, you set a boundary without saying a word. You're teaching the world, I'm not available for this kind of energy. Over time, people learn that you can't be shaken easily, that your peace can't be disturbed. And those who truly you will start to meet you at your level. That's the quiet kind of leadership, where your composure inspires others to control their chaos too. There will be times when silence feels uncomfortable, when you want to speak your truth, defend yourself, or express your pain. But sometimes silence is the loudest statement you can make. It says, I'm choosing peace over chaos. I'm choosing control over reaction. I'm choosing growth over ego. That's maturity. You stop explaining, you stop arguing, and you stop seeking validation. You realize that you don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to stay aligned with yourself. When your silence becomes powerful, your presence becomes undeniable. You walk into rooms and command respect without a word. You handle conflict with calmness that others can't comprehend. You move through life knowing that everything that needs to be said will reveal itself through your actions. People listen to you not because you demand attention, but because you've earned it through grace, wisdom, and restraint. So keep mastering your silence. Let it build your character, strengthen your confidence, and magnify your presence, because when your silence speaks, the world listens, not out of obligation, but out of respect.